Hey everybody, welcome to Rock Video Rental. I am Brandon. With me as always is Caleb, and we are continuing on with our holiday month, and we're going to be talking about Scrooged. But before we get to that, we're going to do like we always do. And Caleb, have you been watching anything good?
Yeah, so I actually have something to contribute that
Was it Die Hard?
no. Actually I do need to get around to watching that, don't I? Um and this is actually one that maybe some people don't know about because it's a little niche and kind of I feel like went under the radar a little bit, but if you are big into video games, I'm sure that you probably did catch this one. Did you hear about the I don't even know if it's called a mini series, but Secret Level?
No.
Okay, so Amazon Prime did this thing, and I believe the total is going to be 15 mini episodes.
Okay.
They released like the first seven or eight, I think it was, and then later this month, I think seven or eight more are coming out.
Rock.
But it's basically they're taking video game franchises and making little episodes from those universes.
Interesting.
Um, and when I say mini episodes, I'm talking about like super mini episodes. Like the episodes are between like 8 to 15 minutes long.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I did not realize that until my coworker watched it the night before and was just like, "Yeah, just heads up, like they're really short."
I
And
thought
I
you were going to
watched
say like 5 to 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, like a Bluey episode?
Oh, I mean, pretty cool. One of them's 8 minutes long, and then another one's like 15 minutes long, so it's really not that
Nice.
much longer. So they're entertaining, they're interesting, but the unique thing is when we were talking about it, because I watched some 2 nights ago, and I watched a couple others here actually today. Um, they're almost kind of like video game trailers.
Okay.
Um, that's kind of the feeling. Like there's one specifically, they did an episode for Warhammer 40K Space Marines.
Okay.
And I told my coworker, I was just like, they could have taken that whole like mini episode and probably spliced it into the video game as cutscenes, and
Rock.
like it would have fit perfectly. Like that's how well it would have fit in there. But they're fun, they're entertaining. I mean, most of them I'm not super familiar with the game franchises that they're working with, but I will tell you one that I watched today that was really interesting, and I'm actually really more confused by now after watching it. Um, they take a lot of creative freedom with this stuff, but
Okay.
somebody did one for Pac-Man,
All right.
and I don't want to tell you anything about it, but because you have Amazon Prime, yeah, you should specifically at least go and try to find that one and watch at some point, and tell me what you think because it was not at all what I was expecting. So
Rock.
I'll leave it at that. But yeah, so there's some out now, and I think there's supposed to be some later this month. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, some fun, some simple, easy to watch. I mean, like they're super short, so
Right. Easy watches. Speaking of easy watches, I've been continuing on watching some of the Office Superfan episodes.
rock.
It's nothing really too new to talk about there. I watched a couple more episodes of Better Call Saul, and I watched Diener 89, which is okay. A little backstory. Um, in like the mid 2000s, early to mid 2000s, there's this movie. It was a Canadian mockumentary called
Okay.
Fubar, and it followed around these two guys who were like complete like slackers, kind of losers.
Okay.
And there was Dean and Terry, and they're just like these metalheads that have like no direction in life. And then they made Fubar 2. And now this one is like a prequel where it takes like Dean from Fubar and it shows him in the 80s. It's like a high schooler, and then like how he discovers heavy metal and like gets into the lifestyle and everything. It's pretty ridiculous. And like Will Sasso plays his dad,
Okay.
but it was pretty fun. And the the metal band Dokken is in it, and like the whole soundtrack is just like uh 80s metal.
Hmm.
So it was a pretty fun movie. I think it's it's on Amazon Prime, but only in Canada. So don't ask me how I watched it. But yeah, it was a good time. Kind of been waiting for that one to come out for a while. They also made a Fubar TV show for a little bit. It was called Fubar Age of Computer. And
Okay.
then the character of Terry has showed up on Trailer Park Boys a few times
Hmm.
because they had like Trailer Park Boys jail, and Terry was like in jail with the guys. But Terry's not in the Diener 89. But they have a character that's just like pretty much the same as him, and his name is Gary. So I don't know if that was like planned or whatnot. I don't know if maybe those two actors just don't do anything together anymore. But yeah, that was a good watch. And then the last thing of note that I watched, I was trying to get my daughter to watch different Christmas shows because all she wants to watch is those stupid Elf on the Shelf cartoons that are on Netflix. And I'm like, let's watch something else. I'm trying to like show her things. And like last year, I got her to watch Home Alone and she liked it. Well, this year, I got her to watch Ernest Saves Christmas.
Nice.
And because she really likes Family Matters and she likes Urkel a lot, she thinks Urkel's hilarious. So I was trying to explain to her like what Ernest is like. And I'm like, well, Ernest is kind of like Urkel. Like he's silly and goofy like Urkel. So then she was willing to watch it. And we watched the whole thing. And I was like, did you like it? She's like, yeah, it was pretty good. She's like, I still think Urkel's funnier. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen Ernest Saves Christmas.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and then after that we watched Ernest Goes to Jail and Ernest Rides Again. So
Nice.
seen a fair amount of Ernest movies, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. But I did watch Scrooge with Bill Murray. Well, Bill Murray was in Scrooge, but I did not watch it with him, which might have made it a little bit better. But yeah, let's talk about it. Scrooge is from 1988 and is directed by Richard Donner. The plot is a selfish, cynical television executive is haunted by three spirits bearing lessons on Christmas Eve. The cast, we got Bill Murray as Frank Cross, Karen Allen as Claire Phillips, John Forsythe as Lou Hayward, John Glover as Bryce Cummings, Bobcat Goldthwait as Elliot Loudermilk, David Johansen as the Ghost of Christmas Past, Carol Kane as the Ghost of Christmas Present, and Robert Mitchum as President Rhinelander. I think this might be the second time I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I've seen bits and pieces of it before. This is definitely a first time watch all the way through for me. So,
It's one I've heard quite a bit because when I worked at a local screen print shop, the printers used to watch this movie all the time around Christmas. So I'd constantly like hear it because they always had it cranked up.
oh yeah.
But yeah, I only watched it like I believe two times, maybe three.
Rock.
It's a Bill Murray kind of Christmas.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not to spoil too much of like final thoughts and everything, but I mean, Bill Murray, like 99 out of 100 times, you're getting a comedy.
Hmm.
And it's essentially the concept they took A Christmas Carol and made it into a Bill Murray comedy, but then also at the same time, they tried to make it dramatic and serious, kind of at the
Yeah.
end, like trying to have an impact. And it's just like, I don't think you can really do that when you're doing a Bill Murray comedy. Like you can have one or the other. You can't really get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I would say the tone is kind of all over the place. Um, I think a Bill Murray movie that handles comedy and drama together better is Groundhog Day. Because
Yeah,
Groundhog Day has some dramatic elements,
a little bit. Yeah, I think
and
it.
they don't try to overdo it. It's more of like it's sprinkled in a little bit,
Yes, exactly. Like I think that's a key point in that one is
where
that
he kind of like reflects on himself more.
it was
Yeah,
definitely more comedy than drama. This
yeah,
it felt like they were in a constant pull of like, oh, are we going to make it more drama or are we going to make it more comedy? We don't
yeah,
know.
exactly.
Let's find out together.
Let's get wacky.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, I would say that the tone is a little back and forth, kind of all over the place. Um, I think the biggest strength of this movie is Bill Murray. With much of anything that he's in, he always plays like a good cynical jerk really well.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what kind of where he shines in this. Um, Another thing too, watching this that I just wondered, I was like, why hasn't Karen Allen done more like bigger movie roles, you know?
Hmm.
I mean, she was in Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones and Kingdom of Crystal Skull. But I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like she could have had a bigger career because she's always like pretty solid and likable.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's maybe just a little too generic or something.
I don't know. I mean, that is a
Kind
very
of
good
like,
question.
kind of like Bonnie Bedelia, from Die Hard, where it's like
Hmm.
she was really good in Die Hard, but it's just like there's really nothing. I don't know how to explain it. Like that really makes her stand out. Like I
I
feel like she's good in everything you see her in, but she just doesn't have anything that really makes her like her own kind of actress. It's
yeah,
really hard to
well,
explain.
a part of the thing that I wondered too, and I don't know, I you cannot tell this by somebody's list of movies, but did she just choose not to go deep dive into acting and just kind of like took it easy? Because
Maybe
like she's
she was
got a
choosy with her roles or something.
yeah, she's got quite a bit of stuff, but I totally agree with you. She's never really done anything considering her role in this, the Indiana Jones movies, um, and she was in the movie Starman. I actually remember watching that with my dad when I was a kid.
Yeah,
um,
that's a John Carpenter movie.
yeah, so like she's been in bigger stuff, but she just never really went consistent with anything.
How
So
did I not
yeah.
realize this? She's the mom on The Sandlot.
Oh,
I was looking at her filmography, like Sandlot, mom, and then I think about it and I'm like, yeah, she is.
I think I remember that when we watched it. I can't remember. I see here that she was in Animal House.
Yeah, she's got like that kind of like that smooth, softer voice.
Hmm.
And then like because I just that like just popped in my head when I saw mom from Sandlot, and I'm like, oh, I guess that is Karen Allen. But I mean, as great of a movie that is, like that wasn't a very big role.
No.
And like you said, with she was pretty good in this. And I mean, the Raiders of the Lost Ark, she's definitely a memorable character.
Yeah. No, I mean like I've liked her. I not that she like nailed it out of the park with this one, but I thought, she was a really solid part of the movie. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, some of that kind of popped into my head too when I was watching this, where it's just like, yeah, you don't really see her as much as you kind of anticipate you would.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was getting at. That just kind of like popped in my head watching this movie. Um, Another thing too, I thought was really decent was the Carol Kane as the Ghost of Christmas Present was funny.
Right.
and like how she just kept like basically like beating Bill Murray up the whole time. And then I kept laughing too because I mean she's the mom from License to Drive.
Yeah.
And I feel like she plays kind of like these wacky, goofy characters really well.
Hmm.
And that kind of squeaky voice she's got, just I mean she's a I wouldn't say she's a weird looking person, but she's got like her own look to her with kind
Oh
of like
yeah.
the elfish face, I guess, and the kind of the buggy eyes a little bit.
Hmm.
It has like her own look, yeah.
Yeah, no, very recognizable and also well her voice too.
Yeah, the squeaky voice. Yeah. Yeah, that was her interactions with Bill Murray in this, I thought were some of the best parts. Oh. Uh, I don't know. I guess my biggest issue with this is, and maybe not in 1988, but right now in 2024, the idea of doing a Christmas Carol is so freaking played out.
Oh yeah.
How many different versions of a Christmas Carol do we have?
Well, on that note, I found it very interesting. They never called it Charles Dickens's Christmas Carol. They always called it Charles Dickens Scrooged or
Yeah.
Scrooge. And
Yeah,
so
which
that's
that's a version too, because there's a movie called Scrooge.
yeah, so
So
it's just like
there's Scrooge, there's these are the Christmas carols I can think of off the top of my head. And like you got Mickey's Christmas Carol, the Muppet Christmas Carol. You got Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol. You got this. You've got the one that was CGI and had Jim Carrey as Scrooge. Remember that one?
yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Took me a
that's
second.
five that I can name just like random, just pull out and name randomly.
Um no, but I just don't understand like why specifically in this movie they did not call it Charles Dickens A Christmas Carol. Like I don't know if there was
I
some
don't know.
specific rights or something that they were trying to dodge by not referring to it by its actual name. I just thought that was kind of weird.
Kind of like how in Jason Goes to Hell, they can call it Jason Goes to Hell and use the name Jason Voorhees, but they can't say Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, similar to that. It's like, well, we have the rights to the character Scrooge, but we don't have Charles Dickens' um
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol to use.
Yeah. Which, speaking of the Christmas Carol portion of this movie, one thing as we're kind of like still in the realm of talking about actors and everything, Buddy Hackett. I don't know if
Yeah,
you know who that is by me just mentioning the name. It's a little funny to me because I know he's a recognizable guy from back when with acting.
yeah,
But the only thing that I associate him with is the movie The Love Bug from 1969. Because like my parents had that movie and we watched it when I was a kid, and he, for whatever reason, is super memorable from that movie for me. So as soon as I saw him playing the character Scrooge, I was like, oh no way, I haven't seen that guy since The Love Bug, back from like 30 years
uh,
ago.
it's funny when you say Buddy Hackett, the very first thing that popped in my head was Tommy Boy. Where it's like, what was the name of that funny comedian? Buddy Wackett? I wonder if he goes out with one of the Yankees.
That's funny.
Uh, oh man. Um, I love all the fake uh show trailers that they had during this.
Hmm.
The night the reindeer died.
Somebody needs to
It's
make
like
that
this
movie.
that looked awesome.
Yeah.
I would totally watch that. That goes along with like some of these fake movies that they show in TV shows and movies and stuff that they're supposed to be done as jokes, and you're like, I would totally watch that. I just posted one today on Facebook of somebody made a poster of Kiss Save Santa from Family Guy,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. And I'm like, I would totally watch that. Yeah, and I would totally watch The Day the Reindeer Died.
I'd be
Well, they
down for
did
that too.
that with those that Grindhouse double feature. They had Planet Terror and Death Proof,
Hmm.
the Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino movies.
Yeah.
And in between those, because I saw them in a theater and it was an awesome experience. In between those, they had these movie trailers that were totally fake, and
Hmm.
like I think three of those now have been made into real movies.
Yeah.
Because they had ones that were made into real movies were Thanksgiving came out last year or 2 years ago, the Eli Roth slasher movie. Machete
Hmm.
with Danny Trejo, and then Hobo with a Shotgun was the other one.
Oh yeah.
The only ones that haven't made were Werewolf Women of the SS and Don't. It was like this gothic horror movie called Don't.
Don't do it, Brian.
Yes, if you're thinking about seeing this movie, don't. Uh, but yeah, The Night the Reindeer Died, it's totally something I would watch. And I like they talk about when they show that trailer and they tell Bill Murray it's like some old lady died from a heart attack or something like that after seeing it. He's like, "Oh, this is great." He's like, "Now we need to have a disclaimer at the beginning of you have a heart condition, don't watch this."
Yeah.
Uh,
No, totally. His character was the total, I mean, obsessive corporate jerk, sold out for money and climbing the corporate ladder. I mean, makes you think of,
completely detached with reality, yeah,
yeah, I mean,
and
it
humanity.
definitely on the extreme, but I mean, it makes you think of like Buddy's dad in the movie Elf
Yeah,
and some of those other Christmas. I mean, the most cliche of cliches for Christmas. You have to have that one character that basically wants nothing to do with Christmas.
yeah, you have to
So,
have a Grinch,
yeah.
but not the Jim Carrey Grinch because that was horrible.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um, Man, I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff that was great in this. Uh, I guess the idea of Bobcat Goldthwait's character coming back and trying to like blow everybody away because he got fired on Christmas Eve. I mean, I don't know. There's something with that guy. I'm not a huge fan of Bobcat Goldthwait. I just find his voice and everything so annoying. I'm like, dude, I know that's not your real voice. Why do you talk like that?
Yeah. Hey, made him memorable. He stood out. I'm not saying that I
Yeah.
like it, but whatever it worked. So,
I mean, Gilbert Gottfried made a career out of that too.
yeah.
I'm just gonna squint and scream everything I say.
Um, Also early on in this movie too, I totally thought that this soundtrack was going to be made by the same person who made the What About Bob soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you heard it, but there was like little. Um, I don't know if you remember from What About Bob with Bill Murray, but in the soundtrack there was like kids or a choir in the background going la 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 la. You know,
Oh
like
yeah.
some weird creepy little thing. It almost made the movie scary. Um, like on a fringe of being kind of like a horror movie. Split the movie into a horror movie type promo,
Yeah.
but you hear the same kind of thing in this movie in some of the music early on, and I was like, oh no way, that's got to be the same. But I looked it up, and actually, it was somebody different. So I don't know if they inspired each other or what happened, but there were some similarities with the soundtrack. Speaking of which, the soundtrack in general, I mean, it was decent, but I don't know. I mean, can Christmas movie soundtracks really be all that amazing?
Right.
So,
Yeah. I mean, it's usually full of songs that we've heard a trillion times, like Blue Christmas and Rudolph and all those.
mhm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess I never pieced it together with What About Bob, but I think I've only seen What About Bob maybe two or three times.
Mm,
And I mean, when we watched it for the podcast, it was my first time. So,
yeah.
um, I mean, other things with this movie, I don't know. I think really my favorite part was just like Bill Murray. You could tell that he was kind of ad-libbing a lot of it. And I mean, that's something that Bill Murray's always really excelled at. All the fake TV shows. and then like his interactions with Carol Kane are probably my favorite parts. I guess things that didn't work so well. I mentioned that the Christmas Carol stories just kind of played out.
Hmm.
And this one really didn't change it a whole heck of a lot to really make me find it interesting. I mean, the kind of the story of It's a Wonderful Life has been pounded into the ground too. Like
Don't get
different
me
TV
started on that
shows
one.
have done it. I know how much you love that.
Yeah.
And I know I mentioned last year I watched the slasher movie It's a Wonderful Knife that came out, and I actually did a pretty good job of twisting that story around. And like I might add that to a list sometime because I found it really entertaining. Uh, that might have to go on the schedule for next year maybe. But yeah, I kind of wish they would have done a little bit more of this to kind of twist it a little bit. Um,
Well, the
I don't
thing,
know. And Bobcat Goldthwait, like I said, I'm really not too crazy about him, but he did. I mean, he did a good job in the role that he had.
yeah, it was goofy. I had down, I mean, honestly, like, I know that it didn't go any further than um the live show and everything, and it just kind of ended. But it's just
Yeah,
like, how does that guy go back to work when he pulled the gun on his coworkers? Uh,
right.
Like, do they really think that he's gonna get his job back, or
Maybe he was pulling a George Costanza when George like
fake quit?
blew up and quit, and then he realized he made a huge mistake, so he came back on Monday and act like nothing happened.
Yeah.
That was a classic.
Now,
Uh,
one thing I do have to say, since we've been on the subject for a little bit, I do wonder if this is one of the earlier adaptations of A Christmas Carol, though, where they make it more modernized.
yeah,
Because, like, you have all those standard Christmas Carol movies,
right.
but I kind of like pulled up a list, and it looks like this is one, if not the first modernized, where they took liberty and kind of um not ad-libbed, but made it more funny and more entertaining instead of just so serious and such a exact rendition of the story.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like I said, I'm looking at it with 2024 eyes.
hmm.
And I just like, I don't know. It's like, oh, a Christmas Carol. Okay.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. Uh, um, yeah, man, I don't know. Like other scenes, I guess. Um, there's couple of quotes in this that made me laugh. There's a part where the ghost starts showing up, and then like Bill Murray's kind of like losing touch with reality,
Yeah.
and this woman's just like, "Well, uh, I hope you're happy with the path you chose." And he's like, "Well, I am happy with the path I've chosen, you little bitch." I don't know why, but that just made me laugh, and everybody just like looks at him.
Yeah.
And then there's another one too where he's like, "What kind of rat bastard plans a live TV show on Christmas Eve? Only you, Frank."
That was a pretty good one.
Yeah, that one was pretty good too. Uh,
Um,
anything that stood out to you?
oh, I'm looking through my notes. Oh yeah, one thing that I had down that I wanted to bring up just because I thought it was kind of funny. So the uh, Christmas past, they go to his work Christmas party.
Hmm.
Is it like, I would really like to know. I've never really had a corporate job or worked at a place that was really that big that had a big Christmas party, but like, is it a cliche or was it just a glorified fabrication that work Christmas parties were that over the top? Where it's just like, we're going to drink at work and, everybody's going to hook up. And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
I don't. I don't know.
I don't know. It just seems like such a um repetitive thing for Christmas movies that they just blow Christmas parties up and way out of the water. So again, of course, like most of the time, these things are like, we're in New York City or this is Chicago and we live in a big or we work in a big corporate building and yada yada yada. So who knows what that's like. I just always kind of wondered, like even as a kid growing up, like is this real or are they just kind of like glorifying and making this up for how crazy this gets?
Yeah, any Christmas party I've ever been to for work is just usually everybody sitting around awkwardly
Yeah.
and just like kind of don't want to be there. Feel like they have to be.
Usually the work Christmas parties I've been to are like we're just glad that we don't have to work right now, so give us free food.
Yeah.
And that's most of it. So and most of them are not and have not been in the actual office either. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways. So yeah, I had that down. The other thing that I had that I wanted to point out was I know that I kind of burned this comment last week in last week's episode, but since there is the reality that not everybody listens to every episode, I will bring it up again. I'll try to shorten it though, but I do find it funny that it was a shattering moment for me when someone pointed out that the fact that A Christmas Carol, the theme around it, the continued story throughout the whole thing is just that the only way that you're going to get rich people to share their money is if you scare it out of them. So I thought that was a pretty good summary.
Back to back movies.
Yep.
Oh man. Yeah, that's funny. Again, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of an honesty moment here too. Like I usually take things week by week. Like I remember what our themes are going to be for each week, or especially when if we're doing a series.
Yeah.
Like oh, we're doing the Friday the 13th movies for this October, or like Lethal Weapon, blah blah blah. I just remember this was Christmas movies and totally forgot that we had Scrooged on the list. So I just brought it up last week, totally not realizing that we were going to be talking about it this week. So,
That worked out. Uh, oh man, another thing I forgot to mention that was not really the greatest part of this is the ghost of Christmas Past was played by David Johansen. What did people see in this guy?
I don't know.
Do you know did you recognize that guy? Because he was in another movie that we watched.
No, all I had down in my notes is I didn't know if he was supposed to be the ghost of Christmas past, a gargoyle, or like oh, what was the other thing that I had in my notes? I had it written down like yeah, just like a very unusual choice in my opinion.
Yeah. You know what other movie he was in that we watched?
No.
He was the bad guy from Mr. Nanny.
Really?
Yeah.
I wow, I
The bad guy from Mr. Nanny with the metal head.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yikes.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
not
don't
sure
know.
what people saw in that guy.
I'm not sure either. I mean, I he added a little bit to the movie. I'm not saying that I think that he was necessarily the best for his role, but it
Though who
worked.
would have been a better Ghost of Christmas Past? Danny
Who?
DeVito.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. That would have been great.
Kind of similar to what they wanted to do with the character with David Johansen, but would have been way better.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm not cutting into your trivia and facts, but did you notice you caught Bill Murray's brother
Oh
uh
yeah.
playing
Yeah,
his
he's in
dad?
every almost every movie Bill Murray's.
Did you know his other brothers in the movie?
Ah.
If I'm not mistaken, because I looked this up. He's got what? He's got like five brothers, and I think like three of them went into acting. But I'm pretty sure the brother in the movie is his legit brother.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
yeah, because he's listed as John Murray. So that should be right, but who knows? I've
Brock.
made bigger mistakes. So
Yeah, I recognize Brian Doyle Murray
yeah, I
because
mean
he's
you
in
always
tons of
do.
stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
he's Clark's boss on Christmas Vacation,
yeah, and of course Groundhog Day and
Wayne's
yeah,
World.
yep. Um, one thing that I thought was weird that I'll maybe bring up at the end, kind of too, and everything. They We already talked about how this movie was flip flopping between dramatic and comedy. Drama, wow, drama and comedy.
Yeah,
Um, the end was really messed, like wonky for me on that because it was comedy, 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 and then they really tried to hammer home the drama seriousness at the end. And like, let's face it, and this is not whatsoever a knock against Bill Murray, but Bill Murray is not known for his serious, dramatic speeches. And so when they had him trying to do that at the end, that his speech within itself was difficult because they were trying to do it with some comedy included while being dramatic.
yeah. It's kind
And
of like they're just like, hey, Bill, go out there and just kind of filibuster for a little bit too.
yeah, and so that really um took a blow to the end of the movie with that speech on how it was executed. I personally think that he could have done better and it could have been a little bit smoother if they gave more direction on kind of like, hey, start off really serious, like throw in a little comedy here and then like finish it with like this strong sentimental piece or something. But I
Yeah,
totally agree with you. I think that he just like winged it,
yeah,
and it did not really resonate very well. So that was something that threw a wrench in things. But the other thing that kind of annoyed me, and it's kind of a small thing, but obviously based on Christmas Carol, obviously there's the big story of the main character and having like a lost love interest.
hmm
Um, but the um Karen, why am I blanking on what her character's name is? Claire. They were together. They were at the show when he was playing the dog character,
yeah,
and then he got invited out to go which I found completely ironic, anyways, because what CEO of a television network is going to go out and have dinner with a dog character from the show?
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but anyway, so he decides to invite him out for dinner, and so then Bill Murray wants to take Claire and have them cancel plans with their friends. And then because of that interaction, like Bill Murray like turned on a dime
Yeah,
in that interaction where like everything was good with Bill and Claire and their life was really good, blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden he's just like, nope, I'm gonna make it all about my corporate stuff now and I won't have another opportunity like this. Like screw you and our friends. And then also she's just like, well, if that's the way that's gonna be, then I think we need to take a break. And I'm just like, what the heck? Like I can understand a fight, but basically up until now, you guys have been perfectly fine and you have not shown any conflict.
yeah,
This doesn't really make sense. Like, I know that this goes and plays into the story. Like, I am filling in this huge gaping hole that you have left, but you guys have not developed this like whatsoever.
you're right.
So that was kind of
It was a
uh
quick turn for sure.
yeah, it was I was not very impressed by that. So
Oh man. Well, anything else to add, or do you want me to get into the trivia and facts?
trivia and facts.
All right. So, Filming began in December of 1987. With Christmas approaching, director Richard Donner asked if the production could have Christmas Day off, but Paramount executive refused, insisting that filming should continue on Christmas Day. However, Donner outwitted them. At the end of the day on the 24th, he fired the entire cast and crew. 2 days later, on December 26th, he rehired everyone. The break was allowed the cast members to spend Christmas with their families.
What the heck, dude? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what this movie is freaking about, and then that's what they had to pull?
Yeah.
Like they address it in the freaking movie.
Yeah, I'm sure that comment where Bill Murray says, "What kind of a rat bastard has a live TV show on Christmas?"
Oh my
What are
gosh.
you, Frank? Yeah, I'm sure that was what was going on.
Oh my
I think I heard that
gosh.
story before, how he fired everybody at Christmas Eve and then hired them back on the 26th.
Dude, how absolutely stupid.
Right. Way to go, Paramount.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that.
Uh, so Bill Murray falling on his way out of the restaurant was unscripted and a genuine accident. Apparently, it was due to the stairs being still wet after splashing the waiter with water that caused him to lose his footing.
That's funny.
So Bill Murray and the director Richard Donner reportedly did not enjoy working together, creating a lot of tension on the set. When asked by film critic Roger Ebert if he had any disagreements with Donner, Murray replied, "Only a few, every single minute of the day." That could have been a really, really great movie. The script was so good. There's maybe one take in the final cut movie that is mine. We made it so fast, it was like doing a movie live. He kept telling me to do things louder, louder, louder. I think he was deaf.
Oh gosh.
Which, I mean, this isn't the first time we've heard that a director or someone had a hard time working with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, when the ghost of Christmas present, Carol Kane, grabbed Bill Murray's lip, she tore it so badly that filming was halted for several days.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. When Frank is startled by an actor who he thinks is a ghost of Christmas future, he elbows his secretary Grace in the face. That was real.
Oh no.
Bill Murray really did hit the actress by mistake.
Ouch.
Yeah. This is Bill Murray's first starring role since Ghostbusters, and he had been living in Paris, and he had seriously considered giving up acting altogether.
Hmm.
When Frank throws water on the waiter that he sees burning, he says, "I'm sorry. You know, I thought you were Richard Pryor." This is a reference to an event in Pryor's life when he was freebasing cocaine and accidentally set himself on fire and ran down a busy street in LA.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Bill Murray ad-libbed most of his lines. In 1988 interview with the Philadelphia Daily News, Richard Donner discussed Murray's penchant for improvisation and described the experience of directing Murray as follows. It's like standing on 42nd Street and Broadway and the lights are out and you're a traffic cop. So Sam Kinison was originally slotted to play the ghost of Christmas Past. The part eventually went to David Johansen due to his friendship with Bill Murray. I think I would have liked Sam Kinison better in that role.
Hmm.
And then the last thing I got is this movie had a $32 million budget and it made 60.3 million in the box office.
60.3.
Yeah. Oh, another thing I I noticed looking up the cast of this movie. Uh she has a very small role, but playing the role of IBC nurse is Mimi from Drew Carey.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh,
Rock.
well, grades. IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think they are?
Oh, 7.1.
6.9.
Oh, okay. Rotten Tomato critic.
I'll give you a hint. They're both the same number.
Oh, okay. Um, Both the same digit, or like the critic and the audience scored the same?
The critic and the audience are the same.
Okay. Um, 66.
71.
Oh, man, dang it. My 7.1 would have been really
I know.
close.
When you said 7.1, I'm like,
Son of a gun.
maybe he'll get it.
Nope.
I don't remember who went first last time.
I'm not sure either. I'll go first. I'm ready.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think this could have been graded differently back in 1988. It is a story that has been told 1,001 times. Um, it just didn't really resonate. I do tend to believe that maybe it could have been better, even before hearing about, the friction between Bill Murray and the director. But it didn't really hit for me. It wasn't super entertaining. Like I said, it was kind of, I honestly was in my mind thinking throughout the movie while watching it, like, am I supposed to be laughing at more of this or being, moved by more of this from being a
Yeah.
drama or a comedy? And that was really like plaguing my viewership of the movie. So it's not horrible, but it just, I don't know. It didn't land very well for me. I came out with a 3.5 out of 5. Um,
Rock.
so yeah, I think the strongest element was Bill Murray, but I think again, not against him. I think it was kind of like a setup of the whole thing. I think him and his character could have been even more impactful than what they were, and just the movie as a whole could have just been edited or kind of stitched together better to be a little bit more impactful or more entertaining. So,
Rock. That's funny because that's the exact same thing I gave it.
rock.
I think at the end of this, I'm like, I wanted that to be funnier.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted more wacky Bill Murray, where, some there's parts that were supposed to be dramatic, and I don't feel like it fit so well. Like it was just struggling to find its footing. I don't think it's an awful movie by any means, but I can see why this one doesn't get mentioned as much as, like Home Alone or Christmas Vacation or Elf or something like that,
Yeah.
because it's definitely not as effective as those movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know. Here's a question for you. What is your favorite iteration of the Christmas Carol?
Ooh,
Since it's been done so many times.
that's a good question. I actually got kind of like some stuff pulled up here. Um, hmm.
I'll say that mine is probably Mickey's Christmas Carol. I
Okay.
watched that so many times as a kid.
The one that
And
I
like I watch
want,
that now with my kids and I'm like, oh, it's a pretty good one. And it's nice and short.
the one that I've watched the most is probably the Muppet Christmas.
Okay.
So that's kind of where my mind goes to first. I'm kind of
The
like
Mr.
second.
Magoo one's pretty good too. I watched that
Uh,
one a fair amount as a kid too.
I haven't seen that one.
That was kind of
Shocker,
a
you know.
forgotten one. I think that was one of the first uh holiday cartoons.
Hmm. Yeah, I know I've seen a couple others, but I cannot get them up on my. Yeah, yeah, if I had to pick, I'd probably say a Muppet Christmas. I mean, it's got oh
Patrick
crap.
Stewart.
Um,
No, Patrick Stewart's not in that one.
no, it's
Michael Caine.
yeah, there we go. Thank you. I was just
My
like
cocaine.
Mac. Okay. Yeah. Shoot, which one's Patrick Stewart in? I forgot about that one.
Yeah, he's in one.
Michael Caine.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, I would say probably Mickey's Christmas Carol is my favorite one.
Rock.
And then I always liked too when they showed it on TV, they would show that short with Chip and Dale being in Mickey's Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That was always good. And that's actually that little short is on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we watched it the other day. But I almost forgot to mention this. When this episode comes out, it'll be Friday the 13th.
Dun dun dun.
And unfortunately, there's never been a winter-themed Friday the 13th movie. But
Oh
I
my
guess if you want to
gosh.
watch any like Christmas slasher, there's a fair amount of those.
They totally need to do that. They need to do a Friday the 13th based around Christmas. Oh my gosh.
Well, they did Terrifier 3 and it was Christmas.
Well,
Um,
isn't
Silent Night,
oh, you're
Deadly
right.
Night.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's
but
Offerings.
Jason Voorhees in winter with Christmas
It's never
theme.
been done. It's been talked about a bunch of times by fans and everything how they want a winter-themed Friday the 13th movie.
That would
Jason
be
in the
cool.
Snow.
Or maybe they could do it like the thing in Antarctica. They tried to get rid of Jason and they put him in Antarctica and then somebody thawed him.
Some penguins. Some dang penguins just go and fish him out
Jason
of the ocean.
Jason versus the polar bear.
Oh god, Jason versus Sasquatch
I
or
totally was gonna.
Yeti or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, the
the
Yeti.
abominable Snoop, the Bumble from Rudolph.
That would be
Oh
amazing.
god, this is spiraling out of control. Um, and speaking of holiday horror movies, next time we're going to be talking about the 1974 Christmas slasher movie Black Christmas, which is one I wanted to talk about quite a few times on this. So really looking forward to that. It's a very it's a little slow. I would say its pace is similar to Halloween, maybe a little bit slower, but it's
Okay.
really unnerving and creepy. There's a lot of interesting stuff with this, and the directors get a really, really weird filmography.
Okay.
So don't like look into it until we do the episode, and then I'll tell you some stuff because it'll probably like blow your mind.
Oh yeah, no. I usually try to go into each thing. Like I don't even look up the plot of the movie beforehand. So
Rock. Yeah, and it's a movie that's been remade twice. The first remake was kind of and the second one was horrendous. So
Mhm.
stick with the original. But yeah, um, if you guys are liking the show, please like, subscribe, share. You can find us on social media. We're on pretty much every platform. I just put out a YouTube short, a sequel to last year's, because last year I did a five slasher movies that you should watch that are holiday themed, and then I just did like another five. So go check that out. Come by next time. We're going to be talking about the original Black Christmas. And until then, as always, be kind and rewind.